dreamers and truth-curious mainstreamers. This is Poe's Law with me, Charlatan Poe. I've been doing a lot of work, and I managed to find a shaman to agree to initiate me. I've been doing some thinking about being sucked into this, being chosen, or, and I guess nothing happens without a reason, and nothing is as it seems. So I got a shaman to agree to initiate me so I would have some better tools and access to some higher realms in navigating through this. So I was thinking about our anonymous source, G. Gordon Liddy, and G is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's number 7. Gordon starts with a G, number 7, and Watergate happened in the 70s. It also has a number 7. The G in Watergate. And 777 is the title of a Danzig song. And immediately I realized this is going to be a dark and difficult path that I'm going down if I accept the mission that I have found myself in. So, as a first test, the shaman has instructed me to read this Belief Unlimited script from this guy, John Lilly, who, he's some kind of dolphin doctor that did a lot of ketamine, which I think is the scientific name for vitamin K, maybe. So I'm going to read this, and it's supposed to open me up. Earlier tonight, as I knew I was going to have to do this, I put on some audiobooks or short stories to kind of take my mind off of it, and I found myself listening to this short story where this wizard is locked himself in his study and is intending to create a second personality that will cohabitate with him, I don't know, to become more productive or smarter. I'm not sure exactly why, but in order to become more powerful. So he's going to self-hypnotize to unleash this other part of himself, so that two simultaneously will be manifest. It rolls along, and he unwittingly unleashes his dark alter ego, who manifests physically in the room and stabs him in the heart with a letter opener because his evil side was too powerful to control. And whole book. Okay, so after I finish reading, I'm just gonna see what happens and damn sure leave the camera running so that if my dark side comes out and stabs me in the heart, at least someone will know what happened, because I've locked the porch doors from the inside, so no one will be able to get in. Okay. beliefs unlimited. In the province of the mind, what one believes to be true either is true or becomes true within certain limits, to be found experientially and experimentally. These limits are beliefs to be transcended. Hidden from one's self is a covert set of beliefs that control one's thinking, one's actions, and one's feelings. The covert set of hidden beliefs is the limiting set of beliefs to be transcended. To transcend one's limiting set, one establishes an open-ended set of beliefs about the unknown. The unknown exists in one's goals for changing oneself, in the means for changing, in the use of others for the change, in one's capacity to change, in one's orientation toward change, in one's elimination of hindrances to change, in one's assimilation of the aids to change, in one's use of the impulse to change, in one's need for changing, in the possibilities of change, in the form of change itself, and in the substance of change and of changing. The unknown exists in one's goals for changing oneself, in the means for that change, in the use of others in the changing, in one's capacity for changing oneself, in one's orientation toward changes, in the elimination of hindrances to changing, in one's assimilation of the aids to changing, in one's impulses toward changing oneself and undergoing changes, in one's needs for changes, in the possibilities for change, in the form of the changes themselves, and in the substance of the changes and of changing itself. There are unknowns in my goals toward changing. There are unknowns in my means of changing. There are unknowns in my relations to others with changing. There are unknowns in my capacity for changing. There are unknowns in my orientation toward changing. There are unknowns in my assimilation of changes. There are unknowns in my needs for changing. There are unknowns in the possibilities of me changing. There are unknowns in the form into which changing will put me. There are unknowns in the substance of the changes that I will undergo in my substance after changes. My disbelief in all these unknowns is a limiting belief, preventing my transcending my limits. My disbelief in all these unknowns is a belief, a limiting belief, preventing my transcending my limits. By allowing, there are no limits. No limits to thinking, no limits to feeling, no limits to movement. By allowing, there are no limits. There are no limits to thinking, no limits to feeling, no limits to movement. That which is not allowed is forbidden. That which is allowed exists. In allowing no limits, there are no limits. That which is forbidden is not allowed. That which is not allowed is forbidden. That which exists is allowed. That which is allowed exists. In allowing no limits, there are no limits. That which is not allowed is forbidden. That which is forbidden is not allowed. That which is allowed exists. That which exists is allowed. To allow no limits, there are no limits. No limits allowed, no limits exist. In the province of the mind, what one believes to be true either is true or becomes true. In the province of the mind, there are no limits. In the province of the mind, what one believes to be true is true or becomes true. There are no limits. End of Beliefs Unlimited tape. still alive. Oof. Alright. Let's hope that keeps up. Oh, I was at deer camp a long time ago. I was young. My dad, my uncles, my cousins. And was walking in the woods a lot and thinking about, well, mortality, immortality. I'm probably never going to die. The kind of thoughts you think when you're a teenager. And I left early. I had driven separately. And on my way home, because I have a terrible sense of direction, I took a couple wrong turns and ended up on just a two-track dirt road off of a dirt road or something. And the road, no, it wasn't a two-track. It was just a dirt road off of a dirt road. And I hang a corner and it goes suddenly just like straight downhill. Like, oh, the kind of hill you almost feel your stomach drop. You're just driving down. And I just kind of let my foot go and the car's accelerating and I'm just, whoa, this is awesome. And then I noticed just in time that the whole bottom of the hill is just loose gravel and the road takes like a 90-degree turn to the right. So I brake just in time and managed to slow down and make the turn, and then it just dead ends. Like, what the fuck kind of road is this? Just woods all around. So I stop, do probably a 6-point turn, get turned around, and going back the other way, it's basically a blind corner. And something made me just wait, just for a second, going like, wow, if somebody had been here trying to do what I'm about to do when I was just coming down that hill, I would have destroyed them. And as this thought is crossing my mind and I'm about to go, a car comes just flying down the hill doing, I don't even know what kind of speed but just doesn't know the gravel is there, doesn't even brake, just right up into the weeds. Thankfully, it was kind of a soft embankment right away, nothing to run into, and just, oh my god. If I hadn't stopped to have that exact thought at that moment, that 1 second pause it was the difference between me being what stopped that kid and just dreading watching it happen. I'm about out of battery, but just realize the moral of the story is you're not as invulnerable as you think you are, and everything happens for a reason. The kid was okay. I could see him like looking around, all this holy shit, and then I drove away. Now I would stop and actually go talk, but in the moment I was just having a this moment with the universe, and so I just drove away. Probably if that kid had found the box that I now have, he would have not recognized the responsibility. Just remembered why I'm out here doing this right now. So, hopefully there's another video on the way, and that will be proof that the evil double I unleashed in my shamanic initiation